Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is another one of my Living Consciously videos. Last week, I promised that I would teach you or talk about how to protect your energy field, and that is indeed the subject of today's topic: how to protect your energy field. I have 8 major points. And basically, the first point and the last point are going to be covered together because the first point is to use angelic protection. Every single one of us come to this planet under the guise, under the protection of a guardian angel. And that angel will stay with us from the moment we enter into form to the moment we leave. And that angel's job, main job, is to protect us. That angel will never let us down. But once in a while, we really need to call in reinforcements because the situations that we can trap ourselves or get ourselves into can you can find that you will be in a space that is has absolutely gotten out of your control, or maybe even you knowingly went into this space knowing that you were going to be in trouble. That happened to me roughly 50 years ago when the man that I had married, my first husband, um, knew that this was going to be the last day I was going to be with him. And he asked for one last thing. He asked me to spend the night with him. And to say I was afraid, I'm not sure what I was, even going back those almost 50 years. I'm not entirely certain. All I know is that from the moment I entered into his presence to the moment that I saw him drive off the next day with his packed car, I never stopped praying. And that was number 8 on my list, is to pray. I never, ever stopped. I continued to pray the whole night. And I remember very distinctly, even though it happened that many years ago, that I felt this energy bubble around me. And it was as if he could get only so close and no closer. It's a weird feeling, but it absolutely physically existed. I could feel it, I could sense it. I knew I was protected. I also know I didn't sleep 1 second that night because the whole night, all I did was just talk to God in my own way, in my own prayer, and just ask that no harm come to me. His temper was violent enough that he could have hurt me had he gone out of his mind, which I feel violence, especially domestic violence, is a temporary lack of sanity. And so effectively, um, I knew that I only had myself and my angels to protect me. And so that's why it's number 1 on my list. Use your angels for protection. Then the second thing that I wanted to share with you is keep your vibrations high. I know this period is rough. I know it probably tests every ounce of courage that you have, and every ounce, every possibility that you have of wanting to be in a different place, wanting to have different results around you, and yet just seeing the same results over and over and over again, and seeing the same situation over and over and over again. But in spite of that, you have to do your best to keep your vibrations high because like attracts like. We are magnetic beings, and what we send out is what we bring back to us. The more angst we bring into our body, the more angst we're going to feel. It's it's not that simple. It's the rule, the natural law of cause and effect. And so effectively by you finding a way to say it could be worse. It could be worse. And taking advantage of what is out there that is free for you. Walks in nature, especially, let's say you want to investigate a subdivision you've never seen, but you've kind of admired from a distance. Go through it. Very shortly, we're going to have March, and in March, I know the snowdrops already are out. I haven't seen my first daffodil yet. There was one year in that I saw my first daffodil in January, January 31st, which excited me no end, but haven't seen that yet. But they're coming. The beautiful spring blossoms are coming, and if you want a different perspective, when you are able to get into the if I know if you live in the Washington D.C. area, the Sackler Gallery and the Freer Gallery both have underground. Um, their whole museum is underground, and I think it was the Sackler Gallery that we entered, but I'm not sure where we ended up because I know that it was the Gallery for Asian Studies, and for whatever reason, I can't remember which one concentrates on which. I know one is African American studies and one is Asian studies. And but when I kept walking and walking and walking to the end of the gallery, all of a sudden I found myself in a place where I was walking through a 3D representation of Aleppo, a marketplace in Aleppo in Syria. And that marketplace had been bombed to practically smithereens. You would just see, I mean, all empty stalls, all rubble, all, I mean, just almost like miles of it. And you would walk through this 3D representation, and someplace we saw what the marketplace had looked like originally. And it it was almost heartbreaking to see the vibrant and beautiful stalls that were there and the thriving populace and the thriving culture and the beauty and the prosperity and everything to be reduced to nothing but rubble. And I can remember as a teenager, one of my mother's statements was the fact that she could look up into the sky, see a plane go by, and never have to worry about it dropping a bomb on her because she was 18 years old when World War II broke out. And so what they thought was the Polish Air Force defending them wasn't, or NATO defending them wasn't. So effectively, it was the Germans dropping their bombs on September 1st in 1939. And I'm sure there was a part of me that thought she was being melodramatic. I really didn't want to listen to the war stories. Now I wish I had, because I know that what it took out of them to survive. She said there was one point where they had to leave their miserable little hut, and go into the forest for 2 weeks in order to get out of the town because it was being overrun and by Nazis. And so effectively, she said when they came back, that miserable little hut looked like a castle to them. So it kind of helped me put it into perspective. To this day, I don't think I could quite see things, but those that recent visit to the Aleppo marketplace was tremendously revealing to me. And to think of what other people right now, right this second, have to put up with. COVID plus bombs, plus deterioration of any type of civil order in their existence. So, effectively, hopefully, that will help you to keep your vibrations high no matter what. The next thing, and I covered this last month, clear out the clutter. If you think you have no clutter, look at your children's rooms. How many toys do they have? If you have no children, then look at your arts and crafts supplies or look at your collections. Do you have too much of something? Does it need a home, a better home someplace else, or does somebody else need a part of it? And I know my husband would absolutely say, I have too many angels. But in my lexicon, you can never have too many angels. So I'm sorry, I totally disagree with that. But there was one time where he said, you bring another angel into this home, I'm moving out. And so I did, of course. That's par for the course for me, but I never told him. So, and somehow or other, it found a home somewhere special. And I continue to this day probably get angels from friends of mine. So I'm just eternally grateful for that. But just if you really have stuff that has started to look junky, clear it out, get rid of it. Have you accumulated patterns? Did you used to sew 30 years ago, but haven't sewn in forever? Maybe there is still a seamstress around that is would be thrilled to have the patterns. The irony is that just a couple years ago, I saw not only bell bottoms, but the sleeves on dresses were shaped like bells. And that was around when I was in high school. And then my daughter altered some of her dresses to have those sleeves when she graduated in 1999 from high school. So patterns, they just come around and they repeat. These next two I'm going to tell you about because they're pretty common. So you probably might know them already. But one of them is to place yourself in a bubble of white light. White is the light of God. And I usually feel if you do it with white tinged in gold, then you bring in the Christ consciousness. So effectively, then you, it's like marry the Christ consciousness with God light, and you have that protection. And a further protection is to put a mirror around the outside because then any negativity coming at you deflects away and effectively moves away from you because it sees itself in that mirror and moves away out of your sphere. So please use that as a bubble of light with a mirror around it. Metatron gave me a little bit of a variation on this that I've passed on to many of my clients. And that is to place yourself, place the situation, place other people all in their individual bubbles. Put the bubbles together, but everybody is encased in their own membrane. Every situation, every person is encased in their own membrane. And then you place three lights. First, you fill the bubble with magenta light. This is the light of Metatron. This is the light, this is one of the strongest healing lights on the planet. Magenta light is that purplish pink light. I've even seen chrysanthemums dyed and carnations dyed magenta because they drink up the water, the color of the water through their stems. So you can bring that color into your home too as a tribute to Metatron. Then, after you see the magenta light in the entire bubble, then go start with cobalt blue. Cobalt blue is like the sky in the painting above me. The A brilliant blue light. That's the light of Saint Michael. That's the light of courage. And then finish it off with white gold. Again, white is the light of God. Gold is the light of the Christ consciousness. And then you will have, I do that particular meditation every single first thing in the morning, last thing at night. So effectively, I'm protected throughout the day, I'm protected throughout the night. Because in the evening, we do a lot of our cleansing. And effectively, you also want protection from anything that may have happened during the day, but going into the evening. So use that. This next one, this is number 5. This is something that I learned through Michelle Small Wright. She is a gal. She happens to live in a nature center called Paralandra in Jeffersonville, which isn't that far from here. I think it's about 2.5 hours. So it's kind of on the way to Monticello, to Charlottesville. And she said that she used this technique when she was cleaning the fields of Gettysburg. And I have used the same technique to clear my entire home. And it's a visualization, as the other two were also visualizations, but the visualization is a mesh. It's a golden mesh. And think of a sandbox toy, like a mesh that you would sift sand through, surrounded by a wooden frame, but it's made out of gold. And you make it and you extend it 4 feet beyond the parameter of the area that you want to clean. And I wanted to clean my entire home and also my entire yard. So I kind of visualized the parameters of my home and yard and went 4 feet beyond that, and then started at the top and just started to sift down. And as I sifted down, I would see specks of black, just like little fleas, appear on this golden mesh. And I would take it all the way down to the bottom, 4 feet under the foundation, and then again, bring it back up. And like I said, Michelle Small Wright shared this particular meditation with us in her book called, I think it's called Dancing in the Light of the Moon. And it was about her experience of taking a group of people to do a clearing at Gettysburg. And, most of Virginia has experienced 2 major wars, the American Revolution and the Civil War. So I know that there was a time where I stepped out of my front door and my first corgi, my little dog, would raise up his head, look out at the front yard, and go bark, 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 bark. And I he did that a few times, and then I thought, let me tune into what he's looking at. And I saw a Civil War encampment on my front yard. And periodically at night, when I would come home, like usually after around 9 to 10, something like that, because my days were always very long um, in real estate, I would see 4 columns, and the it would be like 4 soldiers marching straight across, and I would have the sense of a group of soldiers, the spirits of Civil War soldiers marching through. So again, every single time I saw that, I did a clearing on it because I figured they were trapped in this plane. And for them, the Civil War never ended. And so I felt I had to help them transition to the spiritual level. And this was uh, very important to me. But doing this kind of clearing on any land that you can sense density, you can sense the spirit, trapped spirits, you can sense a heaviness, and or because all of our lands were occupied by Indians, and all of them were eventually displaced. So, and many of them, I'm sure, with much trauma. So, effectively, and that's only in the last 250,000 years. What happened before that? We don't even have a clue. All I know is that there were other races, which I really don't know enough of to share anything with you. But anyway, that gold mesh is a wonderful technique, and just spending 10, 15, 20 minutes taking it down and then taking it back up 4 feet beyond the parameters, 4 feet above, 4 feet below. um, you will find a clearing. The next item, number 6, sound. You can have clearing from sound. And the easiest, of course, is music. There is certain sounds that are going to be more beneficial to clearing. One of them, of course, is classical music. Will hard rock give you any clearing? No. It's going to probably add more density. Um, Light rock might, smooth, easy listening, light jazz might, but classical music for the most part. And some classical music can be very heavy too. So you really have to go with the that which is just brings you joy and a lightness of attitude and lightness in your heart. The other thing you can do yourself, toning. You can take the sounds and know that where you start, your own chakras can be affected. You can start with the lowest tone in the root chakra and then go up to the highest tone in the crown chakra. So there is a wonderful way, and it can be your own sounds. You don't have to be mimicking other people's sounds, it can be just your own. Chanting. Chanting is a fabulous way of clearing energy. And there is amazing Indian chants available on YouTube for free. You do not have to buy them. You can get them for free. And these sound bowls have a wonderful sound. Every one of them has something different. Every size has a different note, and every size and its note goes to a different chakra. So, again, if you want to invest in sound bowls, terrific. If you don't, you can just go to sound bowl recordings or what they call sound bath recordings. And then gongs. And again, anytime that you go into a store that has Indian products, you can find chimes. Chimes can be crystal bells or they can be the brass chimes. And I know World Market has, I've seen them there, I've seen them in Pier 1, um, and I've seen them in like even Indian grocery stores where they might sell them. So, music and sound, very, very important in terms of clearing. The last thing, and this is for your body, the very best thing you can do for your own energy field to clear your aura, to clear your auric field, is to take a bath in Epsom salts or sea salt. But I prefer Epsom salts, half a cup of Epsom salts, half a cup of baking soda, couple drops of essential oil, anyone you want, couple drops of mineral or baby oil, anyone you want, because bath oil is important just to not leave your skin so dry from the salts. And then I myself prefer bubble bath. So I do that minimum of once a month, absolute minimum. So once a week, if you can do it. If you're the type of person who says, sorry, I never take a bath, I ain't starting now, take the salt on your washcloth and then give yourself a scrub. And then go over with the baking soda, do the same thing. Then do the same thing with the essential oil. Then do the same thing with the mineral oil or baby oil or bath oil, and then uh, just presume that you're going to get the same effect because there are people that refuse to take a bath. And I can understand that. Um, I'm married to one of them. So I can absolutely get that bath is just not in your lexicon. And so, anyway, I thank you for watching. I will be back next Friday. I'm so pleased that you are here, and I will take your. I'm not exactly sure what theme we're going to be on next Friday because my guides, like I said before, usually never tell me in advance where we are going. So I thank you